See this? 1-800-TWANG or something similar. At the end of the video, I'm going to give you a tip on how to achieve a nice twang, so make sure to watch all the way until the end. But what we're going to talk about is classic country songs and how to play. And what it really has to do with is a strumming pattern. And I chose 3 chords that go really well together. And you're going to be able to, with a little practice, put this into your playing almost instantly. But it is going to take practice. And we're going to break it down, starting out with an A chord. And we're going to have our first finger here, 2nd fret of the 4th string, our middle finger underneath at the 2nd fret of the 3rd string, and our ring finger or 3rd finger underneath that at the 2nd fret of the 2nd string. Now I'm playing the guitar with a very narrow nut width, so the notion is to have all the notes ring out clearly. And it has to do with hammer-on technique. It's a little different going from chord to chord. What I did to start out was I plucked the 5th string and I did a light brush on strings 3, 2, 1. But you heard me do something more than that, didn't you? You heard a hammer-on. You heard it start with a hammer-on onto the 1st fret, onto the 4th string, I mean. I don't know why I said 1st fret. It's a hammer-on at the 2nd fret. In other words, all your fingers are still crammed into a fret, into the 2nd fret. But you're doing a hammer-on. So what I did was, and I have to go to this hand real quick because I just remembered something kind of important. Just as a quick aside, I know it's not even really showing you the full guitar at the minute, but say you have the A chord, right? Pluck that string. I do a gentle brush on 3, 2, 1. Say I do this hammer-on. This hand comes slightly up above where it needs to be in order to strum. And this goes into a lot of different situations. We could be talking about several different genres here, but the hand comes up above. This is specifically how it applies to classic country songs. The hand comes up above to strum the skinny strings that you're aiming for. So that's what promotes the accuracy, the rhythm, and everything. So go back over. These are 2 new different books in the background. And remember, watch till the end and I'll give you the tip on how to achieve that twang. And I changed picks before this. It was a Fender. It was this. For reference, a Fender medium. Alright. So that's plucking the 5th string, playing strings 3, 2, 1, using that advice I just gave you. Then a hammer on the 4th string while maintaining that shape. Now, if you think you have that and you practice that for a little while, something you can do is take your D chord. I said A, D, and E. You can think of all the Buddy Holly songs, etc. that I've done on this. series over this long career that I've been doing this. Where you've heard A, D, and E, we'll now take it and we'll say, okay, you can have your rock and roll, you can have your bluegrass. Let's talk about classic country songs. The second chord I'm going to give you is the D, where you pluck the fourth string and you go, and now the hammer-on is now using the third string. It's our first finger going, hammer-on, second fret, third string, strumming 3, 2, 1. So here's the thing, right? Let's talk about this a minute. Because there was one point I was leaving out at the beginning. It's like a blank spot. And maybe it's the hammer-on itself. There's a certain technique to the hammer-on. If you don't hit hard enough, you're going to leave a deadened string. And when you do it right, you get two sounds with one motion. You pluck the string once. You firmly hammer on the right time with the right accuracy to get two sounds. So that's actually the central point of this lesson, is the hammer-on to do with this technique, because the hammer-on comes together with the strumming pattern. Now you're playing classic country songs. And there's another chord I'm going to show you, so just don't click away yet. Hammer on. Now, for example, what would you do with the E chord? Well, you'd go 5th string, same as before. But where would the hammer-on be? The hammer-on would be 2nd fret of the 5th string. So there's a slight pause. You gotta keep your technique on point here. So, thickest string. Your hammer-on. So with a guitar with a nut width this skinny, very narrow, I was finding the hardest was the A chord, because obviously all your hands are crammed in, but I wanted to play this guitar because of the tone of it. The tone of it is 100% this, slope shoulder dreadnought. The tone of this guitar is 100% legit for what I'm playing, so I said we can just recap right hand, and then maybe I'll think of what it was that I neglected to say, or maybe I won't. Maybe I'll have to figure that out. But I started with the A chord, holding down your A chord, 3 fingers here, thumb over the back of the neck, popping up, playing the 5th string. Like I said, this hand comes up after it rises up, and you're aiming for the 4th string. Now your D, 4th string. Play the 3 thinnest string. This is your hammer on here, the 3rd string. Hammering on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string. Now for the E, thickest string. 3, 2, 1. Hammer on 2nd fret of the 5th string. So what am I doing? I'm making sure that on my fretting hand, that even with the very narrow nut width guitar, that my hands are clear to land. This is even skinnier guitar neck than an electric. So everything has to be absolutely perfect for all the notes to ring out clear. When making the A chord, you want these three thinnest strings to be clear. Try to play the 5. This guitar is something else. It's either this or the 018. So let's see how long, 10 minutes. To recap, we've got the A chord, the fret, hammer on here on the 4th string, your D, pluck the 4th string, play 3, 2, 1, hammer on your 3rd string, E chord, hammer on your 2nd fret of the 5th string. You see that. If only I could remember that one missing point. It's also important to keep your hand clear of the strings and letting it ring out, not getting all in the way of your own strings. What would that mean for the A? Switch to E. It's also the timing of the hammer on. You give it enough time to ring out. You don't just hammer on right away. You give it a second to ring out, and then you hammer on. So the final tip that I promised you about twang was this. Take the A chord. You're going to hold this pick firmly and tightly. When you pluck that bass string, you're going to have that tight grip on the pick. However, when you play the treble strings, loosen up that grip and do a gentle brush. And that makes all the difference because you're adding contrast. And what you have to do now is apply that to these 3 chords that I told you. All right, thank you.